very respected and senior gentleman. Puneet, we now have a very respected and senior gentleman. You heard about what investors think, but what does the legal framework look like in Web3? We have Mr. Aruneshwar Gupta, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, and former Advocate General, Government of Rajasthan, to give us an insight into what the legal framework for Web3 will look like. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Aruneshwar Gupta.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm really happy to be here with you. And a lot of people ask me this question, what are you doing here? And I was quite amazed because everybody looked as if, what a 67 years old, suited, booted person doing among the jean and t-shirt people. So, and incidentally, yesterday I visited the Chief Justice of India, who is 92 years old. And he was reading a judgment of US Supreme Court on abortion, which is delivered in March 2022. So I thought, updating with the latest is something which the lawyers learn much early in their life. And that is what I learned, and that is what I'm keeping. I've been in Supreme Court for 46 years. What really brings me here is my passion for sports and gaming. I've been passionate for sports right from my childhood. That brought me to drafting of the Rajasthan Sports Act and also the Sports Act for Himachal and UP. Finally, we were able to throw out Dalmia and brought Lalit Modi in. It took me about 18 months to do that. So I see a lot of people very uncomfortable about what is happening. But I think if your idea is clear, if your concepts are clear, if you're able to exactly see what is going forward, you will achieve what exactly is going to happen. And that is not optimism, that is looking exactly the way you should look around. So this is what my passion for sports was, one thing. And I drafted the Sports Act when Lalit was not there. And he just came out paratrooped. And finally he said, I want your help for cricket. We want to throw out Dalmia, bring Sharad Pawar in. And finally on 27th of November 2005, we got that in. And from 2005, the IPL started in 2008. But that was a period when, the entire economics of, or the agreements, that's where the legal structure comes in. The agreements, and I'll just give you a small hint here. The BCCI revenue in 2005 was 16%. And when we did all the agreements were redone, and ultimately it went to 35, 45, 60. It does 74% of the cricket revenue in the world. And when Lalit was thrown out in 2012, again, because of his own reasons, it came down to 16% again. So in 2022, we are again back to the same situation where we were there. So this is the strength of legal structuring and legal issues which we have to understand. And how, the international global market plays. Because sports and gaming is international. We are just a small speck in the whole thing. Economics, we are a very small people, but we have that potentiality to grow, and that is what brings me here, because I want people here to think, see, do, and become billionaires. And we are here to support you as lawyers and let us see how we go with it. So let me give you, there are two things which I want to, want to go about it. First is, let us understand the background, the whole industry of this gaming industry, the way it exists in this system. So there is a paradigm. Now, a word which is, everybody hears every day, paradigm shift. And every paradigm brings about disruptions. Because disruption is something that the old thing is gone and the new thing is in. The Kotak, which was doing the cameras, are gone, the mobile cameras are in. So that brings about a disruption in the economy. Now let us start from the very beginning. And I say, when the first Homo sapien, human being, threw the first stone to shoo an animal out at a tree to get a fruit, gaming was created. That led to the javelins, the archery, the shooting. But this was basically security. It was for food. When these things were satisfied, then came the entertainment. So we are really a part, we are sitting here because we are part of the entertainment industry. So all sports and games is all about entertainment. Every person has got something like 3 to 4 hours every day in his lifetime, every day in his life, where he wants to get entertained. That rejuvenates his energy and it prepares him for the next day's work. And that is where you are, this whole team is here to make money out of that 4 hours of his. So it started with entertainment, really started with the colosseums, where the gladiators were there, the bullfights were there, but that was the violent martial races working on that. And then in India, we had that Krida, so we had athletics, we had wrestling, chess, chopper. Then came the Olympics. Around 1876 came the Olympics. And Olympics had 35 games. There are about 84 various combinations in which you play these games. But what they give you is medal only. You don't get anything in Olympics. So, lot of Indians who go there, they go without a broken chappal and they come back with broken chappal. That was used to happen at one point of time. So you don't get anything. Now we are talking of something which we call you play and you earn. So that's the shift. So everybody is here to make money. So that is the shift where we have got now, then this Olympics shifted, then there were indoor games, and now we have got this Web3 where we call it as play to earn. But I would put it on a very slightly more, looking at a forward situation. I say whenever you play, you are entitled to earn. So, you are all gamers, you are creating those companies, but the point if you look in from the player's point of view, he is there to make money. Now, whether he makes money by getting into the IPL or he gets a medal and becomes an icon, but he is there. Everybody in the world is, because everybody has a struggle. And these are the shifts which are taking place. So we had the BPOs coming in, we had the KPOs coming in, we had the LPOs coming in, where a lot of people from very small families like rickshawalas, children, or three-wheelers children, they shifted to BPOs and started making money. Now, if you start this concept of where you can play to earn, I think it will be a big boon, and there will be a lot of shift in the economy. Because let us understand one thing is very clear, that money doesn't disappear. Money only moves from one pocket to another pocket. So this entire system of the entire entertainment industry, from where you will pick up your money is something that you'll have to look into. Now, all this what is happening is basically because there is a rise of a civil society. So this is where the fourth dimension comes in. We have moved from the agriculture age to industrial age, to electronic age, and now we have come down to a digital world. This is a cultural shift. As I said, from the violent races, everybody is looking for a civil society. So we are all looking for a civil society, and this will be something which will be shifting the financial models. And that is where comes in what I call the blockchains, the cryptocurrencies, the decentralized finance, NFT, and metaverse. So this is a word which I call the BCDMN space, NM space. So as the things move forward, most of the people have covered, I'm just consolidating it out, is that internet, when it came, and to give you another idea, we launched the first legal website in India on 7th of November 96. The chairman of VSNL, I called him, and we had in the Scope building in Delhi, we had that function. And everybody was amazed, what is this gateways? He said we have got gateways. So they say we have got Delhi gate and we have got a Humayun gate, what is this gateways? Nobody really conceived of that there can be virtual gateways. And there can be something like internet. So what 95, 96 we saw till 99 was internet was until today. That the same thing is happening with the BCDN space. People are wondering what this is. But this is here to stay, and this is here to disrupt. And this is here to make money. So internet is not, basically it only, originally when people started, they thought it is just email, so you send your mails from one to another. But that's not the truth. The truth is that basically internet is about the shift in the whole thinking process. It is a shift in the dimension. So we are into fourth, and this is Toffler when he wrote his third wave, and then he wrote his the war and anti-war. Earlier he wrote his future shock, and then he came out with revolutionary wealth in 2008. And in fact, in that book of 2008, Revolutionary Wealth, he talks about these cryptos, not in that real sense, But he was very clear that there is going to be a private currencies. So there's going to be disruption. So every wave disrupt. And the line is very clear that either you have to be with the wave or you are going to be wiped out. So this is what is happening today. So everybody, so when we talk of internet, it is about content sharing, data information, knowledge, wisdom. Then it is internet, relay chats. So we have instant messagings, video conferencing, internet telephony, then education and self-improvement, online certification courses started, professional services, doctors, advocates, CA, architects, recruitments, marriage, dating, social networking, research, newspapers, online shopping, and online gaming. And finally, we have got this, what we call it, I've added A to it, that is alternate dispute resolution. So ADR and BCD, and this is makes, so all this, everything is coming under the internet now. Everything has become online, and this COVID has in fact changed the scenario, or brought in, whether you like it or you dislike it, you are in. So you have no choice but to be in. People can't get out of it. Then you go to the next, where I say, one must understand what is gaming and sports is all about. So this is the definition which I coined, when I drafted the Sports Act. I say the gaming is a disciplined, synchronized, and rigorous physical activity involving human body, mind, and will within the framework of rules for organized participation. Now this is very important. So there are singular individual games and there are organized games. So there are organized people, so there are a lot of people who are involved into it. It helps in developing integrity of character, confidence, self-reliance, sense of well-being. It teaches how to work as a part of the team, how to manage success and disappointments, and how to respect each other. Now I'm giving this definition for you to understand it, that gaming is something which is character building, and therefore it is very close to the human development. And because it is close to the human development, and we are developing a civil society, there is no reason why it is not going to go forward. It is bound to go forward, because it is something which will change the human nature. And that is what exactly I always say the cosmos needs that, and that is what is happening. Now, gaming is basically an entertainment of a Hollywood or a Bollywood with a military precision. Because in military, like a gaming, if you make a wrong shot, you're gone. And in gaming, same thing. If you don't hit the right bullet, you have to restart the whole game. Now, the real thing in this gaming is what really entertainment is the wow factor. So whether it is NBA or FIFA or PIA, IPL, the real issue is that how many times people hold their breath and they say, wow. Now, if you can make games like that where people really enjoy doing it, you'll make more money. Because you have to entertain. Those 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, the person should get out of it, unless he becomes a professional gamer. And that is bound to happen. Like in the last talk, they talk about shifting economies, where agriculturists, a lot of people, these people who are doing BPOs and all, these young boys, what are they looking for? 10 to 15,000 a month. If there can be economies where they can make that money, you'll see the whole shift moving from a lot of waste of money. And the young youth which is getting into things like drugs and all, so you may move them to gaming, which can be a great contribution to the system. But one of the major important in gaming is, and I take that lead from the sports, is it's just not, you just not have to make games, you have to create icons. So there have to be icons, there have to be players who have reached to a certain level of precision, or they have reached to a level of where they have got their top class. And that is a part of marketing and media. But you have to create legends. So I'm taking a parallel from sports into gaming, like Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Roger Federer or Messi or Muhammad Ali or Bolt or Tendulkar. So you will have to create, now this is something which has to be part of the gaming industries. What are you fighting? Now what is the gaming industry like? And where does it stand? So what is the entertainment industry? So when you look at the entertainment industry, you have music, you have got Universal, Warner, Sony. So the total industry is something like $62 billion and expected to be $131 billion in 2030. Then there are theater and opera, which has gone into minuscule now, 4.9 billion. Movies, again, Warren Brothers, Paramount, Universals, they have $101 billion. TV, CBNS, NBC, HBO, soap opera is about $229 billion. Sports, now that is very interesting because the major shift of what gaming will see is shift of money from sports to gaming. Sports today is about $620 billion. And with the sports equipment and playgrounds, if you take that value, then it is something like $1.7 trillion. So all this money which came to sports came because of media. The Olympics never flourished. IPL would not have happened, anything FIFA or NBA, unless the TV was there or advertisements were. So these are all revenue which was coming from advertisement. The gaming, now what they calculate is that 2017 it was 78 billion, 2020 it was 179, 2021 198, 2027 it is about 339. But the idea is, and they expect a growth of about 2.29, which I think is less. If the Indian gaming industry has to evolve, I think it must do a better job, go to 5 to 7% of development. Now, it is a nascent industry. There is no existing structure in gaming industry in India, and that is a total disaster. But that is also a total opportunity. Because if nobody knows nothing, it is better that there is something going on, and it will help. As things move, there may be regulation, there may be no regulations. Like if you see movies, there are two regulations. There's entertainment tax, and you have got the censorship. In theater, there is no regulations. And similar in sports, there are no regulations. The entire thing is regulated by Olympic Association. So an Olympic Association is what? It's an international NGO. So nobody has made any rules for any game, any sports. Similarly, there are a lot of thinking about it where there are no regulations. So there may be no regulations. Why do they need a regulation? So regulation will come, we'll deal with that. What is the need of a regulation? Why they may be coming? So there's a huge untapped market taking indigenous games globally, and because there's a great spread of IPOs around the world. Now let me come down to the legal structuring or the legal issues. Now under the Constitution, gaming is sports, entertainment, and amusement. It is covered under what we call as the list 2 of the Constitution and entry 33, which reads as theatres, dramatic performances, cinemas, sports, entertainment, and amusement. So that is where the laws can be made only by the state governments. Then there's entry 34, which is not here, but that reads as betting and gambling, because that is where one of the issues which will come in is how gaming is different from gambling. And then there's entry 62, which deals with taxation on all these things, on entertainment, amusement, betting, and gambling. So these are all which are covered by the state. Therefore, the central government has. Now, this conflict will lead to a situation where there will be not many regulations. And nobody really knows what to do. Because under the Constitution, only the state can do it. The government, the central government is only dealing with the taxations on it, but they can't do tax on this, on the gaming. So there will be a lot of, so there may be a situation where there are no, unless they made a constitutional amendment. Now, what is the role of a government? That is very interesting, and I think everybody should understand, because people are quite, uncomfortable. And since I was 14 years, I have worked for the government. I exactly know how it works. So there are 4 things which everybody should understand. One is own, control, regulate, and facilitate. So here the ownership is private. We are not in China or Russia where the owning is there. The second thing is controlling, and the classic example is, when I give it, is like a moving on a road. So if you say that all the buses and all the cars and everything and all the taxis are owned by me, then it is owned by me. And if they say, okay, from this timing to this timing, the taxis will run, this timing the cars will run, this time the bus will run, then it becomes a control. The regulation is, okay, anybody can run. So you stop on a red light, you have moved to on a green light. Now, on that situation, the only thing the government has to do is that if somebody is jumping the red light, they fine him. If they are standing at a green light, then you have to be put on the side. So the traffic should not stop. Now, that's the role of the government. And another role of the government is to facilitate. So they have built up roads, so there may be potholes in that, there is another issue. But then this is the work of the government. And in this, basically the regulation, when we are talking about decentralization, the regulation is coming from community. So in this sort of a spread of a regulation, it is a very little thing that the government will be able to do. Now, what is the interest of the government? Government interest is only in revenue. So if you are making money, then you must pay your taxes. And I don't think there's any problem in paying taxes. Even if you have an offshore company and you bring money to India, finally you'll have to pay tax. So it is better to pay tax and live a good sleep rather than not pay tax and try to get out of it. Income tax and entertainment tax are the two taxes that the government can normally take. Then another thing which government is real, and that is where the real issue comes in, is that no exploitation of the common man. So you don't become dream merchants, you don't try to sell which is not there, and then don't have Ponzi schemes. This is where the government comes in. They don't want this to happen. And if these things happen, then the government put their foot down. Then they'll put some penal clauses, something. Then one of the major issue is gambling versus gaming. So this is something which has been troubling. So Supreme Court, incidentally, in India, in the very beginning, made it that it was a judgment in way back in '67, where they held that rummy is a game of skill. And from there till the last judgment where they held even the horse racing is a skill, because you have to pick the right horse. So it is not a chance that you win, that a particular horse that you picked as one. Now, according to my understanding, it is very clear that for any amateur, it is always a chance. For a professional, it is always a skill, because he spends so much of time on skill development. Whether that skill development is on a mobile phone or it's on a game or whatever it is, or it is on a playground. So this is, and very interestingly, in Singapore, they have the Singapore Remote Gambling Act of 2014, where they have covered everything under gambling. But incidentally, Section 4 says so, but under Section 7 of Singapore Act, they have made it a regulatory thing. So you see, Singapore is a government, again, they push business. So they regulate it. They say you come under a scheme of things. In India, the difficulty is we always keep some regulation and we want to keep the discretionary power. That is where the problem comes in. So Singapore, under Section 7, everything has to be registered. So once you get a license for gaming, then you can do your gaming. Issues is not a big issue at all. Then another issue is which will be coming in very interesting is gaming versus lottery and other entertainment economies. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is, here you'll have to understand that this is something a part of the advocacy. People have to put their articles in the newspaper. They have to say that, look, why gaming is better than anything else. Another legal issue which has to be really considered will be the children games. Because any agreement with children, minor, is void. Now, if you are allowing them to earn to play, and if they are children, whether that will be legal or... So what you can say is, okay, this is not an agreement, but we are paying them an honorarium. So you earn honorarium. Now, these are the issues which you have to be very, very conscious when you are making your agreements with anybody, or when you are advertising yourself. So that use of those words are very, very serious. Never use chance. You have to use the word skill. Never use the words money. You can always say it is like an honorarium, so for the children, or you can make a note there that for the child under 18, it is treated as an honorarium. This is something we have to be, we have to be very clear about it. Because the real line is that you don't go against the law, but you always go around the law. Don't fight law. You will break your head and you will have difficulties. Now, we have been doing for the last 4 years, we have been helping some of these Web3 companies. We have this Web3 legal now. Now, these are the issues which I have come across where people find a lot of difficulties. One is that there's an entrepreneur who is a promoter, who is a game developer. Now, he is basically, because he's enthusiastic about that development, he is basically a person who's a techno person himself. And then he has got 2 or 3 friends, and they join together and they want to start something, and they start doing it. Now, the moment they do something and they create a product, so the first thing is the product. So, the moment the product is created, then the idea is, if you have to go to bank or you do anything, so whether you have to do an incorporation. So when you want to do an incorporation, whether you want to have a private limited company, you want to have a LLP, you want to have a LLC, you want to have a foundation, you want to have a trust. Now these are all things will depend upon your own vision. How do you want to deal with the whole issue of your own structure? The second issue comes is the shareholders agreement. If you got 4 people or 3 people, what is the inter-se relationship? Now we don't define it because somewhere we are afraid of doing it. And that is where the problems come in. Because you can't put anything under the carpet. Anything, any issue put under the carpet ultimately burns the carpet, it burns the curtains, and it burns the house. This is the bottom line. So then you need agreements. So agreements are with the stakeholders. So agreements, you have to have agreement with the technologists, you have to have agreement with the employees, you have agreement with the advisors and incubators, you have agreements with the digital work artist, you have agreements with the marketing and the media people. So you have to be very clear. What are you giving them and how you want to have that? Then you have to have with the investors. So in the ITO, which is the initial token offerings, so the investor, what is the investor looking at? He has got that analytical skill on the future of the product. So he is looking for, so you have to have NFT, you have entered into soft agreements with them. So there are NFT collectors, there are guilds who are now promoting the players to finance, they're financing the players to buy NFTs and play better. Then, in sports, you got player farming and you got security. So what investors are really looking is security of his investment. He is looking for return on investment and he is looking for an exit route. And this is the most important. And the security issue is one of the major issues which is in USA, because they said if they are security, then you have to go under the Security Commission. Which incidentally in India it is not issued, that sort of issue is still here. Then we come almost to the end of it. The relationship between the gaming company and the game token supply company. This is something which everybody has to understand it when you are shifting from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. So if you are going to release tokens, then what is your relationship between, so whether the token company is merely like, in casinos you have those token people sitting outside your shop and they are giving you for money. But then that money is coming to the token company, what is the relationship where it can shift down to the gaming company? Then intellectual property right, the copyrights, trademarks and patents, agreement. Now this is one of the most important lines which I want everybody to understand is that agreements are not merely created to enter into relationships. Agreements are created to deal with golden handshakes when there is breach. Agreements can break, agreements may break, but the relationship should not. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for what I call as the make money with dignity and have a conflict-free, be conflict-free. Don't get into conflicts. When you have conflict, then you will not be able to make money, you will be disputing on courts, and you will not be able to reach anywhere. And then the most important person in the entire thing is the gamer, the player. So you have to take care of the gamer or the player who doesn't need a KYC now because he is decentralized. And the last part is, which is a suggestion to you people, is on the advocacy. So you must be writing articles on gaming as a fundamental right of children. Play to earn for children is honorarium, not a contract. And then you must develop icons and fan clubs. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions to sir? Yeah, we can ask questions outside. I'm sorry, somebody run a little behind schedule. And thank you so much for coming down all the way, taking an early morning flight at your age and coming here. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, big hand to Mr. Aruneshwar Gupta.